Hi folks, it's Dana Green Remedios. You're on a well experience with Keisha Dixon. Hi Keisha, thanks for having me on your page. Always a pleasure to be here. And I'm back this week. I've been, dealing with a lot of stuff over the last month, and it just came to a head over the last couple of weeks. And it got me super down. I've just been not able to sleep, and then, not able to be my best self, because sleep is super important. So there are some really smart and successful women out there, like Ariana from Huffington Post, if you know the name Huffington, Ariana Huffington, who's actually written a lot about sleep as a lifestyle factor for, weight loss and just being at your best. So anyway, just to let you know that I'm going to take today's session with you kind of just loose, casual, and some thoughts that are off the top of my head. But the title of today's session is weight loss tips and one crazy twist that you didn't expect. So at the end, I will give you one suggestion if you're trying to lose weight that you probably wouldn't have expected from me. It's very counterintuitive, and it goes against a lot of what you probably think I've been telling you over the last couple of months. So if you haven't joined me over the last couple of months before, no problem. I have talked a lot about I'm a holistic nutritionist. First of all, holistic nutritionists don't usually talk about the math of diets and nutrition. They don't usually calculate. We don't do calories. We don't, weigh and measure things like that so much. Normally, we just look at nutrient density and trying to get folks to, eat really nutrient dense foods. So not a lot of filler foods, a lot of nutrient dense foods. That's what it's all about. Sometimes that means you eat fewer starches. Sometimes, a lot more plants than you're used to because they have a lot of great nutrients. But sometimes also animal foods, because they're a good source of nutrients too. So whatever suits your needs, that's what we try and do. Not just give you a meal plan, but try and figure out, what you love to eat, so that you're gonna, it's not a chore to eat a certain way, regardless of whatever your health situation is. So anyway, that's a little bit about the kind of work that we do. But what I've talked about a lot is how you can reduce those starches, make sure you get enough protein, and really set yourself up for success by having tons of phytonutrient-rich, colorful foods. So some of the things that I've been wanting you to talk about, and I'm going to get to today, are, more about how there's toxins in our environment that we're trying to avoid, and more about how a lot of the reasons why we gain weight, they're really not just about calories in, calories out, or even about the amount of fat they're eating. In fact, as a nutritionist, one of the main things that I do is add more fat into people's diets, because a lot of people just aren't getting enough. And one of the best ways to keep your insulin levels steady is to, you can lower the amount of carbs that you eat. You can also eat more fat because it keeps you more full. And you can try doing other techniques, like you can do intermittent fasting and change when you eat. There's lots of different things that you can do. I learned a lot about this because, of course, the natural way, I struggled with my own health for a while and found out what can give me energy. And my first session, when I am with people coaching them when it comes to their nutrition, is almost always the first session is energy, because everybody needs it no matter what's going on. We all need more energy. So foods that give us energy and foods that don't give us energy is the first thing to focus on. So I'm going to talk about the weight loss stuff and not get too far off track. But basically, you want to find foods that give you energy, but not too quick. Does that make sense? So I'm going to count down my tips for weight loss, and we'll talk about them a little bit. So first one is you want to keep food simple. So a lot of these, by the way, I'm borrowing from a lot of really great practitioners that are out there that have generously shared their ideas in the public forums before. So these are not all my ideas, but keeping food simple means basically it doesn't have to be overly complicated, like steamed vegetables, poached fish, poached eggs, and just washed sliced fruit. It doesn't really have to get complicated. You don't have to make really complicated recipes. And it does get really complicated when you're already trying to change what you're eating and then have to learn new menu stuff, learn new recipe. So just keep it simple. That's rule number one. That means that you keep the ingredients really down and stick to plain food. That really is it. So, you know, bake things, steam things, poach things, and keep the fancier stuff for special occasions. Then it'll really feel like a special occasion without you having to have like a triple fetch sundae. So eat enough. That's number two. So second one is eat enough, but not too much. So you always want to be in this balanced place, not stuffed, you know, just like the Okinawans who live forever, just about in the southern part of Japan. There's an island, Okinawa, and they live till they're in their hundreds, and it's really quite cool. But traditionally, they have a thing where they eat until they've got, you know, a little bit of room left in their stomach, and then they stop. They don't eat until they're actually full. So try that. Try eating not until you're stuffed, but also don't go hungry. This is really important. A lot of people think that weight loss is about going hungry. You really should never starve. That's just going to set yourself up for blood sugar fluctuations, and like insulin is you know, the root of all evil when it comes to weight loss efforts. So going too low on calories really will decrease your energy, your metabolic rate, increase your fat storage. Don't starve yourself. It's really not the thing that you want to do. Now, chronically under eating can also increase your stress hormones, and that's not going to help, okay? So we've talked about endocrine system, stress hormones. We've talked about how that affects weight. So probably, if you think about it intuitively, this makes sense, and your body probably told you that if you've ever under-eaten before, or if you just work through and you forget to eat. Probably your body was telling you, hey, this isn't really a great idea. But if you didn't listen before, please listen from here on out, because it is true. So the third one, so rule number 3 is for weight loss, a good tip is choose a carbohydrate intake that matches your activity level. So this is one I've mentioned before. You know, you can afford to eat more and starch your carbs if you are burning them, right? So it's burn them or wear them, basically, with carbohydrates. That is also not my saying. That it belongs to Udo Erasmus. But burn them or wear them, that's what he says. But choose a carbohydrate intake that matches your activity level. So low carb diet is not always required for weight loss. It might be ineffective, might be harmful, depending on the person. So if you're really doing a lot of intense exercise, or you're doing really long, steady, droning exercise for a really long time, like some really long distance runners that I know, then you do need to have the fuel. A low carb diet might help you lose weight without causing stress. If you're sedentary, or low carb can be done if you get a lot more exercise, if you know what you're doing, and you know how to fuel, which is a kind of an advanced technique. So if you're doing strength training or high intensity exercise, a moderate carb diet might be better. Now, remember when we talked about how many carbs are right for you, and I said there's a lot of different ways to define moderate. I'm talking about what the ancestral nutrition practitioners call moderate. I'm talking about what paleo practitioners call moderate. So that wasn't the highest end of the scale. It's somewhere in the middle. If you don't remember that episode, go back, watch that video. It was really, really good and helps you figure out how many carbs are right for you. You know, it's really easy stuff. You eat a cracker and find out. So I encourage you to go find out and watch that video, how many carbs are right for me. So if we go on to tip number 4, this one is, I think, something that everybody knows. It's more a lifestyle thing. It's not a food thing. And that's move throughout the day. Like, we know that sitting is the new smoking, right? But now standing, we know, is not that great either. Really what you want to do is a combination of sitting, standing, walking. Being on the move, moving your body a little bit is great. You know, kids who fidget all the time, like, of course, they get diagnosed as ADHD, but actually, it's a really good habit to move your body a little bit. You're always keeping your metabolic rate up. It's really helpful. You can even just, when no one's looking, you just like clench your butt and relax it. Clench your butt and relax it. Kind of tones it up. It's a nice thing that you can do if you're in a movie theater. Nobody will know what you're doing. You can spend that hour and a half productively getting your butt in shape. So that is the tip number 4, is move throughout the day. So these are some of the best tips from the Kresser Institute that Chris Kresser is an ancestral nutrition practitioner, actually. And these are some of the things that he's seen. And the reason that I'm sharing them with you is because I don't really specialize that much in weight loss. It's not my key area of interest. I'm more interested in, you know, toxic overload, helping people feel their best. And honestly, I've found that the people that come to me have tended to have similar issues to me. Isn't that funny? Because that's just, I guess, you put out a certain energy, you attract a certain kind of client. So I've had people that have struggled with toxic overloads and exposures to certain things. Like, you know, I actually was abroad and got exposed to things like Giardia. I had exposures to other types. So I had amoebas at one time, so ew, right? So I know I have a lot of people come to me that have candida, and then they have autoimmune conditions like I shared with you last week. I have one of these, and so that kind of thing is like, that's really my passion. So I'm sharing with you the things that people who work really almost like all the time with a greater number of people with weight loss, what they've seen. And so if it works for them, it should work, because they've seen hundreds and hundreds and thousands of people. So I've also worked in the health club industry. You know, I've seen what works, but it's a smaller amount of people. And so you don't always know if these are, you know, rules that you can extrapolate to the population at large. But these ones I'm sharing with you, yes, they are. So, I mean, you can use a pedometer. You can get one of those little watches. I've got one of them. They're really fun. And definitely, like, I notice when I drive to work, it's a lot harder for me to get in 10,000 steps per day than if I take the bus, because even just that walking to and from the bus stop, it really adds up. And if I go for a walk at lunchtime, I eat at my desk, yes, but not so I can work through lunch, but so I can go for a walk at lunch, then that is awesome. And you'll find that that makes all the difference, makes you get, you know, thousands more steps if you just go for a walk during lunch. So highly recommend that. You can stand up set up a standing desk. At home, you can stand, sit, take different breaks. Just, you know, try and get more movement in during the day. You can improve your muscles just even doing stuff at home. We have a rebounder. I have a tiny apartment. I live in the most expensive city in the world. I mean, people have like a 250 square foot apartments in this city that cost $800,000, or you know, like a tiny little, I know a townhouse that my aunt and uncle had that's like a $2.9 million townhouse. This is crazy, right? So my tiny little apartment has a rebounder in it. We have some weights, we have some bands, and that's almost all you need to get a body weight exercise. I mean, you can do squats, push-ups, planks, you know, you can do everything just about with that small amount of equipment. So if I can fit it into my apartment, then you definitely can as well. So who's ready for number 5? Tip number 5 is include whole lifestyle modification. So moving through the day is already a lifestyle modification, but I'm talking more about like that sleep I was talking about earlier, other things that you can do to reduce your stress level. So diet and physical activity are, of course, cornerstones of weight loss, but sleep, stress levels, and your social support. So you're right here a member of a beautiful group because you're on this lovely page, and everyone here is, you know, got something in common, and we can really leverage connection. You know, whether you're on Facebook or MeWe or whatever kind of platform you like to connect with people online, whether you prefer to connect with people in real life, like, you know, you go to church or you go to the community center, you know, at the gym or whatever, you connect with people. Or maybe I've been a member of a book club recently. That was a really fun way to connect with ladies that I know. So if that's something that you do, connect with those people and build and grow your support network thoughtfully, mindfully, and nourish and nurture those relationships that nourish and nurture you. And of course, whatever you can to manage your stress. Sometimes that means saying no, delegating stuff, not doing stuff, cutting out anything that's really, you got to know what your really core, like, necessary things are, the things that serve your greatest good, your highest purpose, and anything else you can say no to. I mean, sometimes it's about getting more done in less time, but sometimes it's about getting fewer things done. Just cut them out. If they're not important, cut them out, right? So basically, what did I mention? Oh yeah, you got to get 7 to 9 hours sleep a night. Do you do that? I talked about last week how I completely and totally crashed because I got the recommendation of getting 4 hours of sleep a night so that I could get more done in my life. Well, it didn't work out that way. It didn't work out that way at all. And in fact, what I've learned and what I know about sleep is that was like really, really dumb to even try doing that. And I just completely screwed up everything. It really messed with my body clock and my rhythms and my health. Don't recommend that. Definitely the key here is the right amount of sleep for you. And for most people, the sweet spot is 7.5 hours of sleep. So if you can get 7.5 hours of sleep, beautiful. Are all hours of sleep equal? No. If you work night shift, it's definitely harder to get good night's sleep. You know, if you do shift stuff like, nurses that I know. But if you can get to bed most nights by 11:30 or get in bed by 11 and be asleep by 11:30, this is the key. Because if you're asleep by that time, then you're allowing actually the production of melatonin in your body to kick in, and growth hormone. And growth hormone is more about going up and maintaining your youthful appearance than it is about growing out. It's a great thing to have growth hormone. We want to have that. We want to have melatonin. That's what really is going to kick us into a deeper level of sleep. These are hormones that we want on our side. So try to get to bed by 11. That's the best thing that you can do. Try and make more of your sleep earlier in the night and not so much later in the morning, and you'll see some benefits there. So that was number 5. These are all weight loss tips, but of course it's not all about what you eat, and it's not just about exercise. So get some sleep and de-stress and reach out to those loved ones that are really supportive for you. So number 6 is one that I've mentioned before as well. Journal, journal, journal. So keep track. Really consider keeping track. If you keep track of what you eat, when you eat, and everything else, this is going to be like gold. Like, nutritionists such as myself, as a holistic nutrition profession, is really about empowering others to heal themselves. It's not, I don't want to heal you. Your body has the power to heal you, and you know what you need to do, and you know what kind of food you love. You just need to like reconnect with your wisdom. Like, if you really find out what you've been eating, maybe you find out that you are sensitive to wheat, dairy, sugar, and the top allergens, and that's just causing you to hold a lot of water weight. I mean, it could just be that, you don't really even need to lose weight. Maybe you're just bloated. Maybe it's just your digestion. Super common. So there's a lot of things that can contribute to that, and you'll find out what they might be for you. Much more likely that you'll find out if you keep track. So journal, 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 keep track, or at least consider keeping track. And that could be a boon to weight loss efforts. So I'm on my phone. You can tell it's kind of creepy, but I'm going to have to be on my phone at least for a couple more videos because I'm having major laptop issues. So sorry about that, everybody. So that was tip number 6. And finally, I'm going to save my crazy one for the end, and I'm going to go back and we're going to talk about number 7. So number 7 is one thing that I've been, threatening to talk about for several weeks. So we talked about obesogens, right? We talked about your tired, toxic liver. We talked about how your liver needs a break if you're going to lose weight, because having a tired liver is not going to do it. And so before my phone runs out of battery, I'm going to tell you that some of the obesogens that I told you about last time, there's BPH, which is in cans, right, bottles, and everything plastic. So cut it out. Stop storing your food in plastic. Another thing is, it's in the lining of cans, but even if you get a can that says BPA free, it's got other new chemicals in there that are just as bad and do pretty much the same thing. It's on the receipts that you get at the store. We talked about that. There's also ones that are in all of those germ-killing soaps. So triclosan is one that you really want to avoid. It's definitely an endocrine disruptor. So check your soap. If there's triclosan in it, it's basically, if it's an antibacterial soap, check for that. Don't use those anymore. Cut them out. That's an obesogen. That's a secret hidden cause of weight gain. That is also not going to help your liver. And then a tired, toxic liver is a hidden cause of weight gain as well. So support your liver. You can wake up, have a glass of warm water with lemon in the morning. That's a great thing. Try and eat a lot of bitter foods. That's a great thing. Those things will support your liver. And when you're eating good fats and flushing out the yucky, toxic bile, that's one way to detox. When you're doing that, eating bitter foods and eating clean fats and getting enough fiber, those are all ways to turn over those yucky things in your liver. So do your liver, a nice little favor and start your day right with a glass of warm water with lemon in it, a nice squeeze of fresh lemon, and then try and consume more of those types of foods, high fiber, bitter, and good fats, like omega-3 fats, flax oil, that kind of thing, not so much the other processed ones. So if you do some of those things, that'll definitely help. Other chemicals that you want to avoid are like any kind of bug sprays. Like really cut those out. Any kind of junk like that's in your like phthalates, that's stuff that's in your beauty products. It's going to be in shampoo and conditioner stuff. It's going to be skincare. So yeah, if you want to go like totally natural, go shea butter, like all the good stuff. That's what you want to do. When it comes to other sources, these contaminants, they are actually in our environment, in our food as well. So corn, and I think anything made with corn and even animals fed corn are now sources of these as well. So great to cut that out. And another thing that is a common source of these things would be other grains that grow nearby. Also anything that's basically anything that's not organic. So really starting up the food chain, working your way down, trying to make your food organic is really what you want to head towards doing. In terms of even on your clothes, when you buy clothes, wash the clothes before you wear them. Never put the clothes on new. So there's a tip for you as well. What else? In terms of anything that has plastics, you do want to probably wash that before you put it into your house as well. So it's really hard to avoid plastics, even if you have any sorting boxes that you keep things in your office or anything like that. Give them a wipe and try not to let them get so hot that they melt. That's important too. So other things that you can do to avoid unintentional weight gain that is not based on, that's just basically sensitivities, is dairy, wheat, sugar, yeast. That's about 80% of the food sensitivities are right there. And if you think that you might have yeast, like overgrowth, contributing, then the key thing to actually cut out is sugar, not yeast, but alcohol, of course, is a source of, like, anything that's a source of liquid sugars. You want to cut that out as well. So try all of those tips. And if you're looking for my last crazy, unexpected tip today, I'm going to talk to you about something I've never talked to anybody about before, really, but it's called the potato diet. So I have talked about potatoes before as something that if you're sugar sensitive, you can use to actually be, a lot of people who are sugar sensitive, and you can go back and watch another video about am I sugar sensitive, what to do. It means that your moods are affected really, really deeply by sugar and carbs and your intake of those things. And when you're not eating sugar, you still need something to help you release the brain chemicals that are going to cause you to feel good. And the trick that people can use is to eat a potato before going to bed. No protein, just a potato. You can put some butter on it, but you know, or something vegan butter, but you can you know, avoid protein, just eat a potato. This is even crazier. You can use potatoes for weight loss. Now, mono dieting is something that you can try for weight loss, and I'm going to mention the potato diet to you. And the other thing that you can try for weight loss, and I know I've told you, eat 3 meals a day, eat balanced meals. Well, that's all just to get a baseline and know how healthy you are and what makes you feel good and what doesn't make you feel good. But the truth is that you can experiment with mono dieting. You can also experiment with intermittent fasting. So these are 2 crazy unexpected things that maybe, you know, you wouldn't have expected from me. But let me tell you a little bit about the craziest one, the potato diet. Is it crazy? Absolutely. Does it sound like, you know, the cabbage soup diet or any of these other wild and crazy things? Yes, it does. Let me tell you a little bit about it. So the potato hack is basically, it's totally counterintuitive. You just can read the Potato Hack book. It was written by Tim Steele, and he says that since the 1800s this has worked for people. Basic rules of potato diet are you can eat potatoes, just totally plain potatoes. So if you love carbs, and everything that I've said for every single other video about cutting out carbs as a great way to lose weight has not appealed to you whatsoever, and you've absolutely been crying inside, you might want to try this. Eat nothing but clean, organic white potatoes for 3 to 5 days in a row. Just cook them, cool them, reheat them before you eat them, and eat them with the skins on if you want to. And you can eat 2 to 5 pounds of potatoes a day, and just, I mean, you can have a health practitioner help you if you like to kind of guide you, make sure you're all right. But as long as you don't eat any condiments with the potatoes, nothing, you can, you know, I wouldn't really even salt the potatoes. You can drink black coffee or black tea or water and eat potatoes for 3 to 5 days of mono dieting. Just do gentle, relax kind of exercise and see what happens. You can actually lose, you know, 1 pound a day doing this. So you can quickly lose 3 to 5 pounds. And if that's something you need to do, that's something worth trying. So that was my crazy surprise twist, is the potato diet hack. Let me know what you think. Let me know if my weight loss tips were helpful to you. If you want more information about anything that I've talked about anytime in the last few weeks, including today, let me know in the comments. And I hope to see you again in a future video. Thanks, Keisha, for having me on. You can catch me over at the Healthy Habits Facebook page, where I always share challenges, recipes, there's fitness tips. You can catch the lovely Keisha Dixon on there also on the weekends with all kinds of ways to monetize your mind and get your MLM practice thriving. And if you want to join me there, please do. You can also check my page, the Be Sugar Free page, which is for anyone who's trying to kick the sugar habit. I'm going to be posting a 21-day sugar detox on that page. Or actually, I'm going to start with a 10-day sugar detox on that page soon. You can check that out. And yeah, so stay tuned for other Wednesday sessions where I focus on nutrition. And this is Dana Green Remedios from Green Remedies. And thanks for joining me, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.